London's Heathrow Airport is closed, prompting global travel chaos. UK's National Grid says power restored to parts of Heathrow on interim basis. British utility company National Grid says that it restored power to parts of Heathrow on an interim basis, but the airport said it is unclear when its supply would be reliably restored and is still urging passengers not to come. Heathrow closed early Friday after a massive fire at the nearby North High Power substation in Hayes, West London. The network has been reconfigured to restore all customers impacted, including the ability to resupply the parts of Heathrow Airport that are connected to North Hyde, National Grid said in a statement in which it apologized for the disruption. This is an interim solution while we carry out further work at North Hyde to return the substation and our network to normal operation. By the numbers, Heathrow is Europe's busiest airport. London's Heathrow Airport handled a total of 482,143 aircraft last year, Aviation Authority statistics show, including 479,506 passenger planes and 2,637 cargo aircraft. That amounts to about 1,300 combined takeoffs and landings a day. Among those flights, 56% were by British operators, 18% by European Union operators, and 26% by other overseas operators, according to statistics from the UK Civil Aviation Authority. There were also about 1,000 charter flights in 2024. Heathrow is Europe's busiest airport in terms of passenger traffic and by far the busiest airport in the United Kingdom. Heathrow is also a major cargo hub and served 234 destinations in more than 85 nations last year, according to its website. In 2023, it processed nearly half, 48%, of all cargo in the UK, with £198.5 billion, $256.6 billion, worth of goods passing through. When looking only at international flights, Heathrow is the second busiest in the world, behind Dubai International Airport, according to statistics compiled by travel analytics firm OAG Aviation. Heathrow Airport set a passenger record in 2024. London's largest airport broke a record last year with around 83.9 million passengers traveling through Heathrow's terminals, an almost 6% increase from 2023. Heathrow officials working tirelessly to reopen airport, Britain's Transport Secretary says. British Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander said she was reassured that Heathrow was working tirelessly to reopen the airport as soon as possible after speaking to airport officials on Friday. In a statement, Alexander said she spoke with Heathrow Airport's chief executive to hear the latest on the unprecedented power outage. Alexander also thanked everyone involved in responding to the incident, particularly the emergency workers who have worked to contain the fire and keep everyone safe. The secretary appreciated how disruptive this situation is for passengers and reiterated the advice that travelers should avoid going to the airport until they hear otherwise. The secretary also advised travelers to check their consumer rights for delayed flights with the UK's Civil Aviation Authority. Exhausted passengers diverted to Gatwick being bused to Heathrow hotels to wait. London's Gatwick, the second busiest airport in the UK, has picked up some of the slack from Heathrow's shutdown on Friday. In the bustling departures terminal, CNN spoke to exhausted passengers who had been on early morning flights to Heathrow from long-haul destinations that were diverted to Gatwick at the last minute. A couple traveling from Thailand to Belfast via Singapore found themselves limping along in Gatwick Airport for hours Friday morning after their flight was diverted. Susan Higgins, 70, from Northern Ireland, and her partner Alan both have mobility issues. They were on a British Airways flight from Singapore when they got news their flight to Heathrow would be diverted to Paris, Frankfurt, or Gatwick. Fortunately, she said, they ended up at Gatwick, but on arrival they had to line up for 3 hours to get assistance to book another flight to their destination, Belfast. Neither of them own smartphones, so they cannot simply book themselves another flight. I have walking difficulties, and I had to walk the whole way round to speak to British Airways, Higgins said. We've been traveling since Thursday. We've been here since 5 a.m. this morning, she said. We're both limping along with this luggage. Nevertheless, she joked, it's been an adventure. Pierre Newman and his work colleagues were traveling from Johannesburg, South Africa to Seattle. They were due to land at Heathrow to get their connecting flight to the U.S., but ended up at Gatwick. "We've been here since 4 a.m. this morning, and finally we've got some answers," Newman said as he pushed his luggage to a waiting bus. Some passengers like him are now being bused to hotels near Heathrow Airport to wait for information on when their onward flights will depart. British Airways cancels all short-haul flights today to Heathrow, but is still reviewing long-haul schedule. British Airways canceled all short-haul flights to London Heathrow Airport today in the wake of the power substation fire, but the airline said in a statement that it is still reviewing impacts to its long-haul schedule. The airline is advising all customers not to travel to the airport, echoing calls from British authorities. It is also working to contact all affected customers to allow rebooking options or a full refund. All customers booked to travel to or from Heathrow between Friday and Sunday will have the option to rebook for free to a later travel date, according to the airline. Fire sparks power outage, shutting down Heathrow and causing travel chaos across the world. Catch up here. A huge fire knocked out power at London Heathrow, one of the world's busiest airports, late on Thursday night, stranding passengers on every continent and threatening the global aviation industry with days of delays and massive financial losses. Fire closes major London airport. London's Heathrow Airport was forced to close after a fire at a nearby electrical substation caused widespread power outages. The fire is now under control, according to the London Fire Brigade. One of the world's busiest airports sees minimal impact from Heathrow mess. Currently, there is minimal impact to operations at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, according to airport officials following a widespread power outage at London's Heathrow Airport. Among the world's busiest airports year after year, Atlanta is believed to have had just 2 flights impacted so far. Andy Goebel, the Deputy Director of Policy and Communications, told CNN. He added that Delta is the primary airline that has been affected. CNN has reached out Delta Airlines for comment. Delta issued a travel waiver due to the situation at Heathrow. A CNN crew at the international terminal saw operations appear to be business as usual. Inside the terminal, departures scheduled for London Heathrow for later this evening were listed as being on time. Analysis, accident or not, authorities will want to rule out possibility of outside interference. Accidents happen. Sometimes they have catastrophic, disproportionate consequences. But the scale of worldwide travel disruption caused by one intense fire at an electricity substation serving London's Heathrow Airport will leave UK authorities keen to exclude any possibility of outside interference. London's Metropolitan Police confirmed that its counter-terror division will lead the investigation, given the impact on national infrastructure, but there was no indication of foul play. Specialist officers have the skills and resources to quickly identify the cause of the blaze, the Met said. Investigators will likely examine security camera footage, even nearby residents' doorbell cameras, to see who was in the area when the fire started at around 11 p.m. local time. Given the scale of the impact, they will also likely comb the damage on site to see if the remarkable inferno was caused by anything other than a malfunction in the substation's its own circuitry. Publicly, no such evidence has emerged. The disruption comes at a busy time for security services across the continent. European cities have been targeted by saboteurs, some allegedly in the pay of Russia, over the past months. The UK's forefront role in leading European opposition to Russia's invasion of Ukraine will continue to make its infrastructure a potential target. 2 passengers traveling from Nigeria left stranded, with one set to miss his daughter's 16th birthday. 2 passengers traveling from Nigeria have shared their struggles after being diverted to Gatwick Airport. With both facing major delays and confusion, one is set to miss a special family event. Vincent was on his way to Canada for his daughter's 16th birthday on Saturday.